Hello, and thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I'll be showing you how to film a video of yourself addressing the camera, just like this, using only your phone and a few simple items which you probably already have at home. Right now I'm using a proper camera, a microphone and a few small lights that I had lying around my flat, but you probably don't have these at home. So I'm going to get rid of these and switch to my phone now. Okay, this is what it looks like on my phone. There are plenty of apps like Filmic Pro or Procam that will give you a bit more control over your image and ultimately a better quality, but they do come with a price tag and a steeper learning curve. So the built-in camera app is fine to start out. The first thing you want to do is to fix your camera onto a tripod to avoid distracting shakes like this or just movement like that. You can find plenty on Amazon for about 10 to 20 pounds. But if you don't have the time or the ability to order one, then you can easily make your own. My favorite way of doing this is by molding some tin foil just like this to make your own tripod. Now that I have my phone on a little makeshift tripod, it keeps it steady and frees up my hands so I can speak with my hands and emphasize points. Next thing I want to do is find a better background than this because it's a bit messy here, and then this window is far too bright for the video. So this is where I was sitting just now, but I also have the rest of the living room available to me, so I can try out a few different angles. Now, where you decide to place your phone and where you decide to sit or stand and address your phone will depend on a few things. The first is light, and the second is the background. So I have two very big windows, well, one big window here and one smaller window over here that I could use as light sources. In terms of backgrounds, this big white wall is not a very interesting background, and then things like this over here can be a bit of a messy background. So I can either clean that up or not point that way. Anyway, I'm gonna take a few minutes to have a look around and choose my background, and then I will show you what I've chosen and explain why I've chosen that background. Okay, I've chosen this as my background because it looks quite nice. This window is still a little bit bright, but it's further back and smaller in the frame, so it doesn't bother me as much. I've also tidied up the kitchen and removed a few things from the top of the shelf to make it look a little bit nicer. You don't want your background to be too distracting, but you also don't want it to be too boring. So just give it a little bit of thought and hunt around for different options. I'm sat in front of this nice big window here, which is lighting me quite nicely. Generally speaking, a larger light source will give you a more pleasing light than a smaller one. If you don't have a large window like this, you can either use any household light. I've got one here that's off, but you can point that at a wall, and if it bounces off the wall, it'll give a softer light than if it's shining straight on you. If you do that, it will give you kind of dark shadows all over your face and it won't look as nice. You could also use a computer screen if you have one of those. Just turn up the brightness and bring up a large white page, and that'll light you quite nicely. Just don't put it below eye level. Try and get your screen up high so that the light is coming a little bit from above, just like it would in normal circumstances. So your lights and the sun, those are always above your face. Think of when you shine a flashlight at your chin, it doesn't look as nice, it just looks a bit scary. Now, a quick tip if you're using an iPhone, and I'm sure the same will apply on other phones, but just different ways of doing it, is that most of the phone's settings are automatic, and that's great for most times. But sometimes with brightness, for example, it can cause flicker. It can flicker brighter and darker. I don't really know if it's doing it here. Anyway, one way to get around this is if you hold your finger down on your face, you'll get the auto exposure lock here. And then once that's up, if you swipe up or swipe down, you can adjust the brightness to what it needs to be. You want to avoid big white patches on your face like this. That looks about right. You also don't want it to be too dark. Maybe a little bit brighter. There. You also have the choice between the front camera and the back camera of your phone. Usually the back camera is better quality, but if you use the front camera, then you can also see yourself, you can see where you are in the frame, you can easily press the buttons and all of that. So if your phone's not too old, then using the front camera is fine. You'll also want to consider where you are in the frame. So if you're too far from the camera or too close, those will all look a little weird. So you want to be roughly at arm's length. Placement is also important, so if you're too far over to the left, too far over to the right, too high or too low, those will also look a bit strange. So you roughly want to be chest height, chest at the bottom of the frame, and then a small gap between the top of your head and the top of the frame up here. You also have the choice between landscape and portrait mode. Right now I'm filming in landscape, meaning that it's wider than it is taller. This is best for most cases, but if you're intending to publish this on Instagram stories, for example, or anything really on mobile, which is supposed to be portrait, then you could also rotate your camera 90 degrees. Just make sure you know what your video is going to be used for before you choose which of these two options you're going to go for. Now you can buy some microphone accessories that will just plug into your phone and improve sound quality. You can get these on Amazon as well. Just search for Rode microphones compatible with whatever phone you have. But you don't necessarily need these. Just make sure you're not too far away from your phone and that you're speaking clearly, not too quietly, but also don't shout. Just relax and speak regular volume. If you're about an arm's length away from your phone, that should be fine. Also make sure there aren't too many distracting noises around you. A washing machine, kids for example, you might be able to hear my flatmates on the phone right now. Just pick a time where not much is going on and you can have a quiet moment to record your video. And that's pretty much it. It's not too complicated, so don't overthink it. If you do have any more questions, I'll put an email address here so you can get in touch with us, and we'll try and give you some more advice. But if not, good luck. I'll leave you with that, and that's all from me. Goodbye.